Hey YouTube, welcome to my review of the Pulsedive versus the Scuba Tector. Both of these are small pulse induction rated down to 200 feet metal detectors that you can use when you're diving. This one operates at 3 kilohertz. This one operates at 95 kilohertz. Both of them have about a 12-hour battery life, and both of them take about 2 hours to charge. We're going to go through them, we're going to open them up, and then I'm going to discuss my testing and how I did two different styles of testing to see which one was better. And I did use a CZ21, my actual dive detector, as a baseline. So let's go ahead, we'll start with the Pulsedive. The Pulsedive is very nice. It comes in a hard plastic case. When you open it up, it's good for travel. Little instruction manual. There's another instruction manual that's not currently in here that I pulled out just to make it a little bit more cleaner. You have the actual detector itself with the circular coil. You have a holster, which inside it has a charge cable and a leash. They give you this little bracelet, kind of the old Live Strong bracelet style thing. And then it has the backing if you're going to use the pinpointer and the pinpointer head. Now the pinpointer head is not waterproof. It's not designed to be used in the water or when you're diving. So this is what you're going to use if you're diving. This is going to use in a beach. And so if you don't have a pinpointer already, it's not a bad setup. The issue with this one that I have is the charging cable itself is an old micro USB, which you don't see a lot of this anymore. I'd like to see it changed to the more common USB-C, or the, I'm sorry, it's USB Mini. It's the old USB Mini. I'd like to see it changed to at least a micro USB, which a lot of the cell phones have. So a lot of us have those cables laying around. Nobody really has the USB Mini cables lying around anymore. So a little outdated there, but it is got a good seal, and it's just a quick twist on, quarter turn, and it's sealed. So you don't have to worry about over tightening it and damaging it. The issue with both of these is that they have a lithium LiPo battery. So eventually the batteries will die out and there's no way to replace them, as if compared to most metal detectors that have like 9 volts or any other setup that you can just swap out the batteries whenever they're getting low. And same thing with when the charge gets low, you're kind of done for 12 hours while they charge. Kind of a little bit of a bummer there. The buttons on here are a little bit, they're on the sides. There's 3 of them, and they're a little bit tough to press. And this operates in 3 different dive modes. It has vibrate, beep, and vibrate and beep. And then it also has a red LED on the top that will go off when you're going over metal. The beep and the vibration are both pretty good. I didn't have an issue with either one of them. If you're underwater, you'll definitely feel the vibration. You probably should be able to hear the beep because sound travels faster underwater. So I don't think anybody will have any issues with that one. The Scuba Tector does not have, it has this box, and then it does not have an actual carrying case with it. It comes with the Scuba Tector itself, and then it has a leash, a charging cable, another leash, a double plug for so you can charge your phone and this at the same time, and then it just has the instruction manual. Same thing, this one actually has very, very stiff buttons. I got a little frustrated with it trying to change it. It has 4 different sensitivities, whereas the Pulsedive has 5 sensitivities. Trying to press this was just kind of annoying. The battery unscrews just like the Pulsedive, and then you've got a micro USB port in there. So it's nice. It's got, if you look real close, you can see that it's double sealed. So unlike the Pulsedive, if water gets in here, it may only damage the actual port, but it won't get deep in there and damage the components inside of it. Unlike the Pulsedive, this one's twist on and it just keeps going until it hits the end, and it kind of bottoms out there. There's no way to over tighten this one either. Also has all 3 sensitivity modes. It can go 4 sensitivity modes, and it has 3 different operating where it can go sound, the beep, it can go vibration, or it can go vibration and beep. It does have a little LED here. it's a white LED that'll give you a little bit of light if you're working in low light conditions, and then it has an LED on the top for when it has hit a target. Kind of looks like a big spatula if you're flipping pancakes. Both of them are very compact, good travel, and maybe if you're going on like a cruise or going somewhere and you don't want to take your personal large detector and you just need something small, then they're not bad choices. When I put them against, I had a CZ21, and so I decided to use that as the baseline, and then I would do an air gap test and then an actual sand and water test. I don't like air gap tests, but a lot of people do them, and a lot of people use them as a baseline for results. I've never found air gap tests to be the same as what the actual operating conditions are. The CZ21 is a very low frequency type of metal detector. It operates at both 15 and 5 kilohertz. So different type of metal detector, but wanted to just give, it's considerably more expensive. This one's 169, this one's 160, very similar prices. The CZ21 is about $1,200. So we're talking like a high-end dive versus something small. And that was my baseline. So I went ahead and I did a copper wire, and a very small copper wire, and I air gap tested it, and the CZ21 only detected it about 1/2 inch. The Scuba Tector here got it in the air gap test, got it at about 1.75 inches, and the Pulse got it at 2 inches. So I was pretty happy with that. Then I went and did a very small screw, less than about 1/4 inch long, very tiny. The CZ21 was able to detect it at 5.25 inches. The Scuba Tector got it at 1.75 inches, and then the Pulse Dive got it at 2.75. So about 1 inch more on this one. That was pretty impressive. The dime, I did dime, penny, and quarter. So the dime, the CZ21 was able to detect it at 4.75. The Scuba Tector was at 3 1/8, and this is a solid 4. The quarter was 5 inches for the CZ21, 3.5 inches, and 3.75 inches. Very similar statistics between these two on that one. Then I did the penny, and that was 5 5/8 for the CZ21, and 3.75 for the Scuba Tector, and 4.5 for the Pulse Dive. And then I did a gold ring. I have an actual nice wedding band that I wear, and I use that. And that was at 6 inches for the CZ21, 4.75, and 5.25 for the Pulse Dive. So the difference there with the gold ring is about 1/2 inch. And if you're ever diving and you're trying to dig out a 1/2 inch or a 5 inch hole or 6 inch hole, that's a deep way to go when the tides are shifting and you've got the surge underneath the ocean. So I feel like that was pretty good. But then I went ahead and I got a 5-gallon bucket of ocean water from the actual ocean, and I went and got a 5-gallon bucket of sand, and I filled up a clear bucket, and I set up markers, and I went ahead and I did the same test all over again. Now in the actual salt water, the CZ21 was only able to pick up the copper wire at about 1/2 inch. The Scuba Tector actually detected it at a full inch, and the Pulse Dive didn't detect it at all. So it had done really well up to that point, and then I got to there and it didn't detect anything, and I was less than thrilled. The penny, for everything else, the CZ21 maxed out the capacity that I had. The max I could do was about 7 inches of sand, and the CZ21 was able to detect everything at 7 inches or below. So I'm just going to skip those for the rest of them. For the penny, the Scuba Tector was able to detect it at 2 inches of sand, and the Pulse Dive was able to detect it at a full 4 inches, which was pretty impressive, seeing as how it couldn't detect the copper wire at all. The dime was at 1 inch for the Scuba Tector and 3 inches for the Pulse Dive. The quarter was 3 inches. They were exactly the same. And the gold ring was 4 inches and 5.5 inches. So based on the actual testing with salt water and with sand, in my personal opinion, the Pulse Dive would be the better go-to. Yeah, really personal preference, I guess. I do like the box, and I like the availability to switch it to a pinpointer if you don't already have one. But like I said, for $10 difference, not a bad deal. And this one does have the better battery cap on the back. And those are just my tests. I would love to see someone else reproduce the test and see what they come up with.